Hey guys, this is Renegade 1001, and I'm here to do a bracket tournament of all of the Land of Stories books and A Tale of Magic, Tale of Witchcraft, and Tale of Sorcery. So all the books in the Land of Stories universe, pretty much. So how this is gonna work is I'm just gonna go through the brackets, compare the books, and then after that I'll do a rankings, just straight up rankings, and talk a little bit, just a little bit about each book. But this is mainly a bracket tournament. So let's start. Let's get into the actual bracket tournament. So first matchup we've got here is A Tale of Magic versus Land of Stories, Worlds Collide. So I think A Tale of Magic was a perfectly fine introduction to that series. I enjoyed it. I think it got a lot better later in the book. There were some cool reveals. Also, there will probably be some spoilers for all these books, so just watch out for that. But Worlds Collide is just, of course, gonna be a lot better than maybe a lot of introduction books or books at the start, because it's the big finale of the Land of Story series. So yeah, they did some really cool things with it. They brought it into our world. Got to see very dark Alex, which was and her wanting to sacrifice herself because she didn't want to hurt anyone else. So that was amazing stuff there that we saw. So I'm gonna give it to Worlds Collide. So here we've got a three-way matchup because there's 9 books here, not 8, so it doesn't fit into the typical bracket. So I'm just gonna do a three-way matchup. So we've got Land of Stories: A Grim Warning, The Enchantress Returns, and the 5th book in the series, which is An Author's Odyssey. So first I'm gonna compare A Grim Warning and The Enchantress Returns, and then I'll go for A Grim Warning and An Author's Odyssey. So, I think The Enchantress Returns has some really good stuff to it. I think it starts really well, and it ends really well. I really enjoyed the start part they had with the relationship with, Bob and Charlotte, which is Alex and Connor's mom, and they tied that in well into the actual plot. But the middle part of the book, it was kind of like the original Land of Stories book. They were looking for different items, but I think that part of the book was less interesting. Them looking for the items was less interesting than the first book. So that's why this one is lower on my list. It starts really well and it ends really well, but the middle section of it, while good, these are all of the Land of Stories books are really good. All the 6 books in the Land of Stories series are really good in my opinion. So when one is low on the list, that's not because it's bad. That's just because it has more problems with it than the other ones. The other ones did bigger things or had better storytelling. But yeah, and so yeah, I really enjoyed Enchantress Return. I really love it. But the middle section was not amazing. But A Grim Warning, that is one of my favorite books of all time, if not my favorite book of all time. Because throughout the whole book, it's just a ton of fun. The story flows really well. The pacing is done well. And they get into the action pretty quick. More so into Connor's story pretty quick. But, even at the start of the book, I was really invested in the characters' personal stories that they had, especially Connor. Connor was really good in this book, more than any other book, any other book, I believe. I really enjoyed the story with Bree going through Europe. It was just a nice. It was something different from what we've seen before because they stick a lot in the land of stories. And when they did go to Earth, it was near their home. But they went through Europe, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, A Grim Warning definitely beats The Enchantress Returns. Now, Grim Warning versus an Author's Odyssey. I'm gonna give this one to A Grim Warning again because it's just really great throughout the whole thing. But An Author's Odyssey I really loved as well because I really loved this seeing all these original stories that they went through. So yeah, I really love that one, but I'm gonna give it to A Grim Warning. So that will move on to the next round. So next we've got A Tale of Sorcery versus A Tale of Witchcraft. I'm definitely gonna give this to A Tale of Witchcraft, which is my favorite in the A Tale of series that they got going. Cause the personal story with Bristol, I enjoyed it. You know, her becoming a fairy godmother. That was definitely my favorite part of the book. Her, just being the fairy godmother now. And her little story with Seven, finding out that he was the villain, that was a good twist. I didn't really see it coming. So yeah, it was a pretty good book. I didn't really enjoy the part in the, witchcraft school or whatever. Throughout that part of the book, I was kind of like, okay, can we get back to Bristol's story, please? So I didn't enjoy the story with Lucy that much, but I really enjoyed the story with Bristol. And A Tale of Sorcery, for me, it is definitely my least favorite out of all of these. Because it didn't have that much to it. It had, a lot of build-up for first... two-thirds of it, sorry. And then the last third of it had more action, but a lot of it, it wasn't amazing. It didn't have me on the edge of my seat at all, so I found myself pretty bored throughout the book. So I'm definitely gonna give this one to A Tale of Witchcraft. Yep, right there. So... next we've got Beyond the Kingdom versus Wishing Spell. Beyond the Kingdoms is like The Enchantress Returns in that it in the middle it felt like it hit a low. Also, this one is the least memorable for me. When I think of the Land of Stories, I probably think of moments from this book last. But it was nice, I'll say. I really liked seeing the sort of darker Alex at the start of this. I really loved that. So it started out really good, but after that it wasn't as good and it wasn't that memorable. And a Wishing Spell, it's the whole reason I'm making this video. It was such a good start to the series, and it really had me captivated, and I wanted to continue. And they introduced Chris Colfer wrote some very good characters and introduced them really well in this book. There was for some reason, the descriptive language he used really stood out to me in this book particularly. That was really good in this book, the descriptive language. So, yeah, I'm gonna give it to A Wishing Spell because it is a perfect start to the series, especially with them seeing so many different fairy tale characters. So, yeah. Okay, so next... we've got Worlds Collide versus A Grim Warning. So, as I said before, A Grim Warning, one of my favorite books ever, if not my favorite. Both of these had a lot were a lot in Earth, in that area. But A Grim Warning balanced like our world with the Land of Stories world very well. And Grim Warning also introduced Bree, which was a great character in my opinion. I really loved her little story with the Sisters Grimm in An Author's Odyssey, which I probably should have talked about before when I was talking about An Author's Odyssey, but I'll talk about it now. So, yeah, and Worlds Collide, again, it's good. It's definitely not perfect. There's a lot of great moments to it. There's a lot of great stuff to it. Yeah, but it wasn't perfect. In the middle, when they were trying to, sort things out, it kind of dragged a little bit. There's a lot of parts in Worlds Collide that I feel like maybe didn't live up to what a finale really should be. Like, I feel like the finale should have more like cool things to, like, it should be more engaging throughout the whole thing, like A Grim Warning. Like, you don't have to have cool big reveals all the time, but like, I think the plot should be more interesting. But the character stories in Worlds Collide were very good. But I think the plot maybe should have been more interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna move A Grim Warning to the finals. So, anyways, next we've got A Tale of Witchcraft versus The Land of Stories, the Wishing Spell. Again, the Wishing Spell, perfect introduction to the characters, perfect introduction to the universe. And Tale of Witchcraft just felt like a really good second book. That improved on the first one. But the first one, again, wasn't phenomenal by any means. It wasn't as great of an introduction as A Wishing Spell, I feel like. That probably is because, like, the idea of the Land of Stories series is probably a better idea than the, like, A Tale of series. In general, so it's harder to do a really good introduction, like, to the series for the A Tale of series, which I think the introduction was good, like, it was good at introducing the idea, but the idea wasn't as cool. So, yeah, so I'm gonna give this to Wishing Spell. So, now in the finals, we've got Land of Stories, Wishing Spell, versus Grim Warning. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to give this one to a Grim Warning, because as I said before, so much cool stuff in it. They brought together all of the like kingdoms and stuff. They balanced our world stuff with stuff in the Land of Stories really well. Character stories I really enjoyed. And they introduced some cool new characters like the Masked Man, Bree, Emmerich. So yeah, Grim Warning wins thing. So now I'm gonna give a quick ranking from my least favorite to my favorite of these books. So my least favorite is A Tale of Sorcery, because as I said before, it really was pretty boring throughout almost all of it. There were some cool parts to it, but pretty much throughout almost all of it, not great. At 8th, I have A Tale of Magic. This one, it was a cool introduction to it worked well as an introduction to the series, but they introduced all the characters, but I feel like I didn't feel as attached to the characters in A Tale of Magic as I did in the Land of Stories Wishing Spell. I think the Land of Stories characters are much more interesting to me. So yeah, A Tale of Magic is at 8th place. At 7th place, I've got A Tale of Witchcraft. So all of the A Tale of books are down at the bottom for me. So yeah, I mean this one is decent. It kind of wasn't great in the witchcraft school part. Maybe because I don't like that kind of like creepy stuff. So yeah. At number 6, we've got Beyond the Kingdoms. I believe that's what it's called. The fourth book. The fourth book in the line of stories, because this one was the least memorable to me. And it really started off good, but then after that, it was not bad, but not that memorable, not that exciting. So then at number 5, we've got The Enchantress Returns. Again, this book is really, really good. It has a really good start, really good finish, but the middle just felt like the wishing spell, like them trying to find items, but less interesting to me than the plot in the wishing spell. And then that brings me on to number 4, which is Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell. Yeah, it was a perfect introduction to the series. It really got me wanting to read more. So next, at number 3, we've got Worlds Collide. This one was a pretty decent finale. A lot of great stuff to it, especially seeing the dark Alex. There were some parts of the plot that weren't that exciting, but overall, I really enjoyed it. Number 2, we've got An Author's Odyssey. I really enjoyed all the original stories that Chris Colfer created, and in this universe, it was Connor that created them. I really enjoyed them going into those stories, meeting these different characters. I really like that. And then number 1, we've got A Grim Warning. Said before, throughout the whole thing, just captivating. I really loved it. So yeah, that's it for this video. Feel free to share your rankings in the comment section down below. Yesterday I uploaded my A Tale of Sorcery review. You can go check that out. I'll probably put it in the description, or you could just find it on my channel page. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.